Coming up on The Cut, Black Friday sales hit record amounts last week. What does this mean for the economy?
And an update on the World Cup. What is next for the U.S. team?
And ASU gets a new football coach. What this means for the upcoming season. The Cut starts now.
Hello and welcome to the Cut Network. I'm Denzen Cortez.
And I'm Emily Fox-Millian. Unprecedented protests are spreading throughout China in response to Chinese leader Xi Jinping's zero-COVID strategy in what is the biggest show of opposition to the Communist Party in decades. Protesters are chanting, "End the lockdown." But with cases at a record high in China, the country is in full-force lockdown like the early days of the pandemic. Authorities in Shanghai, the country's biggest city, arrested protesters in a clash with the public. This latest outpouring of anger comes after 10 people were killed in a fire at an apartment building in Yumarichi, where firefighters took 3 hours to put out the flames due to its strict COVID policy. Mass shootings that took place over the past month in America have put extra pressure on the government to end gun violence. However, politicians are divided on how to exactly solve the issue. Cut reporter Pratham Dalal is here with the story.
Hi. Thanks, Emily. There have been several instances of gun violence in the country. In November, 6 people died at a shooting at a Walmart supercenter in Virginia. 5 people died at a nightclub frequented by members of the LGBTQ community in Colorado Springs. This is among other shootings this year like Uvalde, Texas, and a shooting at a 4th of July parade in Highland Park. Numbers from the Gun Violence Archive report in 2022 alone, there have been more than 600 instances of mass shooting data. Numbers also indicate in 2020, roughly 20,000 people died due to gun violence. In 2022, that number was about 40,000. Many in the political spectrum are looking for a solution to limit these mass shootings with something called assault weapon ban. However, some, like Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, are skeptical. He was on CNN's State of the Union earlier this week.
If you pass an assault weapons ban, you are not going to magically eliminate mass shootings in this country. But it is true that AR-15 or an AR-15 style weapon is generally the choice of mass shooters. And what you saw in 1994 when we passed an assault weapons ban was a dramatic decline in mass shootings that remained in place for a decade until the expiration of the assault weapons ban, when mass shootings started to spiral upwards.
I want to ask you about Murphy also said Democrats probably do not have the votes to advance an assault weapons ban because it would require 60 votes. But the Democrats are hopeful they can try. For The Cut, I'm Pratham Dalal. Back to you, Emily.
Thank you, Pratham. We will keep you updated as more information comes out.
On the heels of a thriller in Tucson over the weekend to rivals U of A, ASU has hired a new football coach to take over play calling duties next season.
And so I am delighted to introduce Ken Dillingham as the new head coach of Arizona State football.
That was Athletic Director Ray Anderson in a press conference earlier this week. Kenny Dillingham comes to ASU from the University of Oregon, where he served as offensive coordinator. He replaces current interim head coach Sean Aguano, who took over for Herm Edwards earlier in the season. The Sun Devils lost down in Tucson to U of A 38-35, making it the first time since 2016 U of A won the Territorial Cup.
President Biden is calling on Congress to intervene in the countrywide railroad dispute. If Congress doesn't find a solution before December 9th, the possibility of a rail shutdown is bound to happen. If a strike happened, it could affect deliveries, food, and transportation all before the holiday season, putting a major strain on the trucking industry. The American Trucking Association is calling on lawmakers to act, with hundreds of trucking business groups signing a letter asking Congress for help. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said that the House will take up legislation this week, requiring railroad crews to work under a previous tentative agreement in hopes to find a solution.
It has been a disastrous week for crypto after major platforms filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. BlockFi announced they would be filing for bankruptcy just weeks after the collapse of FTX, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange. Experts saw this move coming after BlockFi said in bankruptcy papers they owe credit to 100,000 creditors. In early November, the platform announced they would be halting all withdrawals temporarily due to, quote, significant exposure to industry pressures.
November is National Diabetes Month. Our reporter Athena Kehoe is here with the latest on how insulin shortages are affecting the diabetic community.
Thank you, Emily. Typically, the month of November revolves around Thanksgiving and getting ready for the holidays. However, the month of November is also American Diabetes Month. The American Diabetes Association uses this month to encourage people to get educated on diabetes. It is a chance to spread awareness, like whether or not you may be at risk for it. It also serves as a month for those with diabetes to share their stories. Within these stories, many financial hardships are revealed. On average, people with diagnosed diabetes have medical expenditures approximately 2.3 times higher than what expenditures would be in the absence of diabetes, according to the American Diabetes Association. In August, the U.S. Senate passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which will give Medicare the power to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies the price of a small number of high-cost drugs, according to the Lancet website. For insulin, prices will be capped at $35 per month starting in 2023. However, those without Medicare are still left with the issue of high-costing insulin. Only 3 manufacturers produce insulin, allowing them to control much of this market. American Diabetes Month brings attention to diabetes and allows communities from across the country to connect with one another. It is a time to celebrate all of the technological advances that make it possible to live with diabetes, while also acknowledging that the fight will never stop until there is a cure. Reporting for The Cut, I'm Athena Kehoe. Back to you, Emily.
Thank you, Athena, for the update on the state of insulin. Oil prices could be going down due to a new source. The Treasury Department announced that Chevron will be able to resume pumping oil from a Venezuelan oil field. The company previously dug there, but sanctions during the Trump presidency forced them to stop. The Biden administration says this move to allow an increase in drilling is not in response to an increased oil and energy prices. It is unclear how soon this partnership will begin.
Remember all those Thanksgiving years of Black Friday deals after dinner? Well, the times have changed. Black Friday sales raked in a record $9.12 billion from online shopping after concerns of high inflation would play an effect. Online sales for electronics spiked up 221% on Friday, with the $9.12 billion figure up from the previous year of $8.92 billion. Despite the record online spending from consumers this Black Friday, economists' concerns about the economy are at the highest level since the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. 60% of Americans said the state of the economy was affecting holiday spending plans, as inflation accounts for some of the increase this year, with people paying more for less. And Peacock's latest controversial release on their streaming site revolves around the story of acquitted murderer Casey Anthony, who was accused of murdering her 2-year-old daughter in 2011. The new documentary has caused outrage in audiences everywhere, and Cut reporter Carly Poirier is here to give us an update.
Thank you, Denson. Times Magazine heralded her as the social media trial of the century, and after 11 years out of the media spotlight, Casey Anthony returned earlier this week in the Peacock documentary series Where the Truth Lies. This will be the first time Casey tells her side of the story after being acquitted of the murder and abuse of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee Anthony. Casey, however, has been found guilty in the same 2011 trial of 4 misdemeanors for providing false information to law enforcement officers. Upon the documentary's release, people across social media were outraged, many repeating the sentiment "baby killer" in their condemnation of Peacock platforming Casey. Furthermore, many criticized her for repeating her defense in the trial that Kaylee drowned, despite the medical examiner determining that the duct tape found across the toddler's mouth attributed to her death. Just like her defense throughout the trial, Casey continues to claim that her father, George Anthony, was the one to dispose of Kaylee's body, telling Casey he'd take care of Kaylee and to lie about the accident. Casey claims that George and her brother Lee had been sexually abusive to Casey when she was a young girl, citing that she lied to protect her dysfunctional family. According to the CDC, 1 in 7 children have experienced child abuse or neglect in the past year, and that abused children are at an increased risk for experiencing future violence, victimization, and perpetuation of their own abuse. For the Cut Network, I'm Carly Poirier. Back to you, Denson.
Thank you, Carly. It will be interesting to see Peacock's reaction to the backlash. Post-Thanksgiving time is a big time for many people to get into the holiday season. Now that Thanksgiving is over, Christmas decorations are going up right here in Phoenix.
But one town in Minneapolis is going a step further to create a gingerbread wonderland. This is the Norway House in Minneapolis. They have set up more than 200 gingerbread houses for the holiday season. All these homes are made by members of the community and put on display. This is the 8th such year where this tradition is going on.
Oh,
That looks incredible.
Those are pretty unique gingerbread houses. Do you like making them, or?
I hate gingerbread. It makes me feel sick, but I love making the house. I love decorating. It's my favorite.
You just don't like the taste of it, or do you hate like when it crumbles? Or?
I hate how crumbly it is. It's just the cinnamon. I'm not a big cinnamon fan.
Okay, like what's the go-to Christmas tradition in your household?
Okay, I'm Jewish, so either we'll make latkes around Christmas time or we'll do white elephant.
Okay, right on. I'm a Latino household, so we will make some abuelita hot chocolate and some little bit of bolillo. So
Respect.
respect right
I
there.
like it. We got
Christmas time is coming up.
Yeah, we got our traditions. And another holiday season tradition is around the corner with the unveiling of the annual Spotify Wrapped.
Or in this case, for me, Apple Music Replay, the recap shows of one's top music artists of the year. Here are some Spotify Wraps from our own members of the Cut.
Cut reporter Zoe Goslin's Wrap. Harry Styles leads the charts. Reporter Carly Poye, who we saw earlier in the show's Wrap, with ABBA leading the way.
Our co-executive producer Pratham Dalal's top choice was One Direction, but he maintains it as a family account. And this is Akaya Brown's top artists, including Millie, Slappy Jane, and the queen herself, Beyonce.
Taylor Swift leads the charts for our social media manager, Madison Wessler, and reporter Larissa May. And Luna is at the top for Sadie Peltz, who assists us with social media.
And for our anchor Leslie Chapman, take a look at who is topping her charts on Apple Music, Tay Swift. And I have Apple Music, so I can't tag along, but my top artist was Drizzy Drake, the Sixth God himself. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Cut. Be sure to follow us on social media.
We wanted to give a special thank you to everyone who helped produce the Cut this season. And a special thanks to Max Wieland and Wendy Maddox, who put our show together every week. We will see you in 2023.